Hello everyone. Thanks for taking some time out and joining us for today's webinar. My name is Shilpi and I'm from the digital marketing team at Minjar Cloud Solutions. Today, we are presenting our webinar on 360-degree view of cloud governance and automation by leveraging AWS tags hosted by Minjar Cloud Solutions. We understand governance and automation on cloud is a use it or lose it proposition. You need to keep a laser-sharp focus on monitoring your AWS usage, track where all your money is going, automate certain cloud tasks in order to effectively manage your cloud infra. AWS tags help you in achieving this. To achieve optimization on cloud, designing a tagging strategy on AWS Cloud is paramount. This technical session is around AWS tagging best practices. The webinar is presented to you by our Technical Director, Veer, who is known in the technology world as a result-driven leader with technical expertise as an AWS advisor and engineer, database administrator, replication and project manager in a wide variety of business applications. So let's move ahead and get started with the session. But before we start, I would like to request you all to please cooperate and be on mute during the presentation. If you have any questions at any point of time during the presentation, you can type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. I will bring them up post the presentation, and we will also have some time for questions at the end. So now let's move ahead and I'll turn the time over to Veer. Veer, over to you.
Thanks, Shilpi, for the quick introduction. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good evening. I hope everyone is comfortable with this webinar timing. We'll try to make everyone awake. So let's start it. So how many of you have seen iRobot movie? I hope nobody, because I've copied this first slide idea from them. But jokes apart, what we wanted to highlight here is, this is the future as per Gartner. Most of IT operation tasks will be automated by 2020. Right now in our IT operations, there are multiple tasks, multiple people are manually doing and handling the day-to-day jobs. But by 2020, a lot of tasks will be get automated because people are migrating from local data center to cloud, and cloud is giving a more powerful features where you can automate your complete operation task. So as I have started the webinar from a punchline of automation, if there are developers in this webinar, please don't get excited. This webinar is not completely about automation, but it has automation. So this webinar is about what? So this webinar is more about effective cloud governance and automation using AWS tags for your AWS infrastructure. So what all we will be covering in today's webinar? So we will be covering the tagging overview, best practices, use cases, and there is a virtual engineer which does a lots of automation tasks. We call it Botmetric. So Botmetric helps you to do a backup, scheduling, and many more automation tasks on AWS. So let me move ahead. Let's talk about basically what tagging is. What exactly tagging is. So if you ask some layman person, hey, what tagging is? Why tagging is required? So that person will give simple answer. Basically adding some identity to a resource. That was tagging is. But again, same person is asking, okay, why this is important? So let's talk about a company which has hundreds or thousands of employees. HR can't remember each of them by looks. So each employee will be given some identity as per the company standards, like employee ID, name, employee email address, department, allocated manager, and many more attributes. So same goes with your AWS infrastructure. You need to assign some identity to your AWS resources so that you can recognize for what purpose it is created and used for. But let's see what actual definition is, what AWS says in his terminology. So AWS says it's nothing but a key value pair which you assign to your AWS resource to define the resource identity. So in this webinar, we will proceed further to leverage this key value pair of each and every AWS resources to achieve cloud governance and automation. What all you can tag in AWS? Definitely, AWS right now not giving every resource you can tag. But what we recommend, at least tag everything what you can. So in the slideshow, I'm showing the high level services which AWS says you can tag the resources. These are very few, but inside that also there are many small resources which you can tag. For an instance, if you consider VPC, under VPC there are subnets, route tables, that also you can tag. I'm not highlighting here. For the more details about list of more resources where you can apply the tags which AWS give, there is a tagging documentation which is available online on AWS. So this is the main topic which I'm moving ahead. Till now I was just giving the introduction about the tags, but I know everyone is interested in what are the tagging best practices, how it is different than the other tagging best practices till now which we have attended. Either we saw in a AWS reInvent or we saw in some summit, how that will be different here. So what tagging best practices has? So the best practice which talks about in tagging is first let me just talk about the tagging structure. So tagging structure is very important in best practice of any tagging in AWS resource. As I talk about the previous example where I was talking about the employee information in a company. So every company decide their standard for allocating attributes to their employee, like department, cost center, position, salary band, etc. In same way, AWS gives you a complete freedom in setting up your own standard attributes. So by default, AWS has a restriction of you can allocate only 10 tags to a particular resource, in which name tag is by default, which is very important. Definitely everybody knows why name tag is important. If I don't have name, you can't call me. Definitely you can say that, okay, Veer has 2 legs, Veer has 2 hands, but unless until you don't know my name, you can't call it. So name tag is separate than the other 9 tags. We call it all the other 9 tags as general tags. Tagging in AWS is completely case sensitive. So when we are setting up a standard in our AWS infrastructure, you have to be very particular whether you are going to use camel case, you're going to use caps, or you're going to use small. You can't combine, because if you have written somewhere department with the D capital and somewhere you have written department with the D small, it's 2 different tags. Another thing, tags in AWS are account specific. Let's say I know a lot of people have multiple accounts for dev, test, production. So multiple accounts when you have, so you can design different set of tags in different accounts just for your reporting and for your automation purposes. There's one more. A friend of mine asked me, yeah, Veer, it's 10 tags and I have lot of information to put for a particular resource. What I can do? So I suggested him, okay, see, tag values can have 255 characters long. So if you want to store more information in one tag key, you can put delimited values. You can combine multiple values with particular delimiter and use it. He said, how? Can you give me some example? So I just given a normal example. Let's say the one resource you are provisioning, let's say you are talking about the EC2 instance, and I wanted to know who is the owner of this EC2 instance. If in future anything happened with this EC2 instance, whom to contact, how to contact. So create a tag called owner, and the value should be having an email address, hyphen, his phone number, hyphen, its Skype ID, or whatever information you want to keep till it's meeting the requirement of restriction 255 characters. Definitely it's great. People don't use it in this way right now. There is one more part. It's a restriction in tagging. You can't use AWS prefix because that's a reserved keyword of AWS. Now let me come back to the name tag best practices. As you see my screen, I'm just talking about the tagging structure because that is more important first to explain the name tag. So this is the name tag best practice which we concluded from working on AWS infrastructure from last 4 years. So this is our name tag taxonomy. How we came to this conclusion, first let me tell you. So right now you see lots of cloud vendors are coming. Azure is there, GC is there, AWS is there, and people maintain their inventory, some Excel sheet or something like that. And if they wanted to have just on the name resource, on the name list, it should not overlap. So that's why this taxonomy is coming like this. So I have put AWS resource, hyphen zone, hyphen environment, hyphen tier, and hyphen resource role and number. Why we did that? So where I'm mentioning AWS resource, you can say Azure resource, Google Compute resource, so that in future it should not conflict with your any of the naming convention bit across the cloud platform. What zone means? Because this is completely specific to AWS, but high level zone is data center. You can define your data center. Then environment, that will be generic in all the cloud platforms, or maybe in your data centers also, local data centers, where you will say it's a production environment or it's a test environment or it's a dev environment. Next is tier. Tier talks about whether it's a web application, whether it's a database or it's a app, which tier this particular resource going to come. Resource role. So how we have defined the resource role is the particular value, let's say in terms of instances, what OS it is. It's a Linux, it's a Windows, what exactly? If it's an elastic cache resource, whether it's a memcache or it's a Redis. And finally the number. Number is just to have a unique number to count, like in this particular category, in this particular stuff, how many servers are provisioned. So below I can see, you can see that there are examples which I have put: EC2-UE1-P-web-lin and the number. So in the English, it's nothing but EC2 instance resource is provisioned in US East data center in production environment. It's a web server and having a Linux operating system. Let's move. So this I talk about the name tag. Now rest of the 9 general tags we categorize under these 4 pillars: business, compliance, technical, and function. So what business will be having? So in business tags, what we put: generally those tags which will be useful for the business or for the company to do some reports. Either it's a cost center wise, this is one tag, project wise, business unit wise, end customer, some owner contact, all this. Coming back to compliance, in compliance we talk about all the security and the policy related. Either it's encryption is required, data confidentiality, what is the scope of the compliance, it should be PCI or HIPAA. That way we create a tag and key pair basically. Technical tags. So out of that 9 general tags, we can create some technical tags which talk about, okay, what is the tag stack, what is the environment, what is this cluster about, what is this application tier, what is the application name or ID something. It gives all the details. You can figure out by that particular tags itself. Why it is required? Actually, people ask me like, why it is required? So sometimes what we try to automate our alert system, and I guess everyone is aware about CloudWatch. CloudWatch only give you instance ID, or sometimes that also like it's very complicated. You have to click the link, go to the CloudWatch screen, then only you can see something. So when you put these all tags, you can create your own template, not for the CloudWatch, but for your alert system, where you can put all this information in your alert. So your engineer who is going to work on that particular alert, he knows already, okay, fine, this is a cluster of Cassandra, part of Cassandra 1 cluster, or it's a production environment, and the tech stack which I'm using, it's completely Python, and application name is payment. So okay, fine, I need to do directly, I have to hit for this issue, directly go for the Cassandra solution, and for the payment thing, I have to inform to the payment developers. So he knows from the alert itself what all action he can take. He don't have to go and figure out what is this resource all about. And then come back to the functions. So this is the one category which we have introduced now in our all tagging strategies, which talk about your automation. In your automation, you can combine all the other tags also. See, tagging is just giving you a power to do lot of jobs. You can combine 3-4 tags together to do automation. But separately we created another function, tags, which talk about only automation. Either it's a backup, or it's a scheduled job of start stop of any resources, or it's a monitoring, or it's a support contact, anything. But if you ask me, okay, fine, is this completely only for the automation for the function? Yes. But is other tags we can't use? No, you can use other tags. For an instance, a friend of mine asked me, hey, I need a report of all the production environment which has cost center XYZ. Fine. So what I need to do? I need to combine my technical tag called environment and the business tag called cost center and give the report. This way it will work. Let me move ahead. Now it's little interesting for people who are business user, because they are most interested in cost allocation and cost reporting. This is standard general tag example which I just talk about how it should be, like business unit name, business unit, application tier, and all. So these are the standard use cases which we have right now in this webinar: cost allocation, scheduling service, backup automation, role-based access control, resource grouping, and many more actually. But right now we are only covering this top 5, and in which the main important for the business users is cost allocation, where they wanted to see, hey, where I'm spending so much money, I wanted to do a chargeback model in my company, I wanted to do showback model to my customer, I wanted to achieve all this power so that I can pinpoint which particular business unit in my company is spending a lot on my AWS infrastructure. So this is exactly a report which is given by AWS. So in AWS, there is a provision where you can allocate your standard tags to cost allocation tags. The first image talks about how to assign and save it. You can assign as many as tags to the cost allocation. It doesn't matter whether that many tags are particular to one resource. It just talk about unique tags which you're saving to the cost allocation. So you can select and save it. They can be any number of tags. And it has also a feature in AWS where you can explore it. So this example I'm just showing that it's a CC code, cost center code wise. I'm showing the cost report for a particular month. For last 3 months, you can see January, Feb, and March. For this cost center, I'm showing the cost. And below itself, in this image, it's not get covered. So you can download this report from the Cost Explorer. So this is one of the use case for the cost reporting. You can do a lot. There are many third-party applications available for doing a lot of solution on the costing. As I talked about my virtual engineer in the starting, Botmetric. So Botmetric gives you a freedom using your tagging structure. It analyze your tags, analyze your utilization on AWS infrastructure, and give you freedom to plan your RI, reserved instances. People are very much scared about paying a committed amount or upfront cost to AWS, and they say whether it will be useful or not. So Botmetric will definitely help in that case. That is one automation that we have done, but that automation need your support. Support in terms of tagging standard. You have to set up a proper tagging standards if you want to do lot of planning in RI. One MNC says, hey, I wanted a RI for my one business unit. Can you tell me which particular instance I need to buy? He is not aware of technical aspects of any AWS stuff. Only thing what he knows that, okay, fine, I need to pay $1,000 to get that particular RI. So there, Botmetric will do an analysis on your tag of business unit and find out which resources are running 24/7 or whatever utilization, and give you the recommendation, hey, you can go for these RIs, these many RI instances, these many RI RDS. So that's why tagging strategy is very important when you want to optimize the cost, when you want to get a good report, when you want to do a planning of reserved instances. Now here comes automation for developers. You can do a lot with AWS tags. I'm going to show you some codes now, which is like, right, it's AWS or any cloud vendor is giving you a freedom of infrastructure as a code power, where you can do a lot along with your own developing stuff. You can do a lot on provisioning. You're automating your complete infrastructure on the fly. So this is one of the use case which I'm highlighting here, backup. You see, people right now do backup normally in normal data center, the data backup. They can't take a complete server backup. But when cloud has come into picture, you can do a complete server backup, which they call it as a snapshot. You can take a complete disk snapshot, complete image of the complete server. People do right now from the AWS console, or may they use third-party tools. But if any developer wanted to achieve this, it's very simple. Right now I'm showing the example using a AWS shell scripting. And that script needs only frequency of the backup, and it's using the tag called backup. You have already created a backup tag on your resources which you want to take a backup, and you are defining there as a value whether you need a daily or weekly or monthly. Also, you want to say that, okay, fine, I wanted to make this particular my backup script more intelligent, where I'm going to put a retention policy. So retention policy, you're talking about, okay, fine, I have daily backup script, but I wanted to keep only last 7 days backup. Okay, fine. More than 7 days, it should get deleted. That process is also I have mentioned in this particular script, which is very important. So this is one part of the script where I'm talking about only daily backup, where if you see, I have highlighted the major 3 commands, which is very useful. The create image, which creates a backup, deregistering, which will remove the old backup, which is as per your retention policy, and delete the snapshot of the particular image. But here you are noticing that it's working on the tag called backup, which is our function category. So this complete backup is scheduled on specifically for backup equal to daily. There is another option, you can say tag backup equal to monthly. That has some different retention policy. You can create it. You can modify anything backup related. So you don't have to go to the console and create a backup. This is one. And as I highlighted, people use other third party also. But what I have noticed, right, a third party tool is good to have if you are able to achieve the retention policy. The virtual engineer which I talk about, Botmetric, there you can choose the tag like the way I have written in this script, backup equal to daily, tag it, but I need only last 7 days. So that automatically will handle your retention policy. You are not doing anything. You don't have to create another job for it. Okay, fine. I have to create one job for taking a backup, another job deleting the backup. You don't have to do that. This is another automation which you can do, and this is very, very important. It should be there for every AWS user, because everyone do a MVP of their any idea, and they do most of the time dev and test environment. So what they do, they start the server, a development environment, and they work on it. Definitely, we are not machine. We can't work 24/7. So what we do, in the evening we just go and chill, and everybody forget that, okay, I have just provisioned one high compute server which is like very high cost. It's still running, and it's running 24/7, and nobody's bothered. But if bill is coming, okay, fine. Next day, what's happening? Okay, fine. My manager has assigned a task to me. Hey, Veer, before leaving to home, please shut down the server. And those who are coming early, please start the server. Now this will be the regular task in most of the company. If a person absent, okay, fine. People are panic. Why? Because my development environment is not up. What should I do? Automate it. There is a tag called environment development. Depending upon that, you create a particular script. And if you want, okay, fine, it's not exactly development environment, it's some staging or something which I don't want to tag as a development. Or you can say I have an environment, production environment, but that production environment only I need for a specific time slot. Let's say I need only from 10 a.m. IST to 12 p.m. IST. That's it. So for that reason, in this script, I am showing a tag called business hours. For which business hours, and it should be starting and it should be stopping. I've given an example where I'm saying UTC 10-8. So UTC 10 means what? It should start at 10 a.m. UTC and run for 8 hours. So start script will pick the first part and stop script will pick the last part. Depending upon that, it does this job. So this is one of the automation which saves a lot of cost on AWS. It's very simple. If you see, there are two commands only, start instances and stop instances. Depending upon your filter tags, see here I am showing only one tag, but you can combine multiple tags. You can clearly say, hey, I need to stop and start the servers of production environment. Let's not talk about production. Production is like a pain. If that gets shut down, I generally I don't get dream actually. I am sure you all have faced the same challenge. So I wanted to stop all the development servers of my project XXX for the application payment early morning to late night, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you can do a filter like that. Okay, fine. Filter should be my tag environment equal to development, tag application equal to project is equal to XXX, tag application is equal to payment. Under these three tags, whatever resources are coming in EC2, you can schedule it. You don't have to do anything. It's a scheduler which will be doing all the action which you have written here. So same thing we have also incorporated in our virtual engineer Botmetric. There you can schedule this all jobs. Along with this, in Botmetric, we have created 7 specific categories automation. Under that, lot of other automation, but service level, we have 7 services which we have automated completely. You don't have to do anything. First service which we have covered is EC2. Second service, RDS. Third, Autoscaling. Fourth, EBS. Fifth, Load Balancer. Sixth, Redshift. And the seventh, the last one, Route 53. So one of my friends asked me, hey Veer, you said that, okay, 7 services you are doing in automation. Man, I am trying hard to do some kind of automation. I am not able to figure out what automation you guys are doing. Okay, so automation, what we are doing, EC2, the standard 2 examples I've shown just in my 2 this use cases, scheduling and the backup. In EC2, you can do a lot of other stuff, right? Like you wanted to copy the AMI from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket, that also you can automate. For a disaster recovery, you can also say, hey, I wanted to share this particular AMI to another account, and this particular time it should go and copy this particular backup to another account. That also you can schedule. Like this, lot of other EC2 jobs you can schedule. The major part is you can manage your complete EC2 resources by just automating standard operation task plus using the proper tagging strategy, because tagging is more important here. Here, scheduling and job of operation is not that scalable. You can do an automation of any instances with a single command. If you can see that EC2 start instances, it only needs one instance ID. It's a very simple task. But is it scalable? I'll just give you one example. In the past, what happened, one of my friend was using another tool, and that tool was completely based on instance ID. It was hard coding, I don't have any idea. But recently AWS has changed their instance ID from 32 characters to big character basically. And however they have done it, it failed. Their cron jobs failed one day. So then he realized, okay, fine, I have hard coded each and everything. So that's why tagging is very important, where you dynamically fetching the data which you need to automate your task. This is one of the good example of using a tag in a proper way, where you have reduced your all dependency on particular hard coded value. Same way, you can go and do a lot of automation on RDS. I guess everyone is aware of in RDS, no doubt it automatically creates a snapshot. But when you delete that RDS, and if you forgot to create a final snapshot of that RDS, you are gone. Because after deleting the RDS of your production environment or it's a dev environment, it will remove automatically all the automated snapshot. So for that reason, one of the best practices say schedule manual snapshot. So there also you can say, okay, fine, I don't want to incur a lot of cost, but I wanted all my production instances of RDS should have manual backups also. That also you can automate using your either scripts, or you can use any third-party tool, or maybe this Botmetric tool which we have created. It has this automation already, and depending upon tags, depending upon your combination of filters, it will automatically create for you. Same way, everyone I guess used Autoscaling, I guess. So Autoscaling, there is something called, you say ki, at particular period of time, there is a schedule autoscaling, everybody is aware of, but it's little bit complex in terms of if you have no idea. And if I'm just I'm not a technical savvy person, I just have a knowledge of, okay, fine, I know at this period of time my traffic comes, so I don't want to wait for my CPU to hit 80% to start the server. I wanted it to start automatically. So what I will do, I will go into my Botmetric tool, I will select the auto-scaling job, and there I can define, okay, fine, for this particular auto-scaling group name, decrease the server at this time, increase the server at this time. I can automate that. I don't have to do anything. I just have to worry about my business application. Same thing. You can go ahead and talk about the EBS volumes. EBS volumes, you create a lot of things like snapshot, creating a snapshot, deleting the snapshot, snapshot create as per the instance ID. Sometimes what happens, like when we set up a Oracle basically, and multiple schemas, so that time one particular instance will have multiple EBS volumes. So everywhere you have to tab. One solution is that. Another is you can automate using instance ID itself. Okay, fine. I need to take a snapshot of all the EBS volume where it is attached to this instance ID, and you're done. It will be automated. So in this way, there are a lot of automation we have done. This is a raw method which I'm showing in the slide, but in Botmetric we have made more intelligent way which you can achieve, and you don't have to worry about anything. Let's move ahead. This is the one thing a lot of people ask me, hey Veer, I don't have multiple accounts, but I have multiple people. They do their own MVP and POC a lot of time, and they screw up another people's servers. Sometimes they are sleeping or they are drunk. They just remove some services, they stop the server, something they do. So how I can achieve something where particular IAM user can do only particular action on their particular resource. So there I given him this example where you can create as one of the tag called owner and map it to the AWS username variable. So if any of the resource has that particular owner, can do only that particular action which you are defining. In this slide, I'm showing about the attaching volume and detaching volume. So which means if let's say my IAM user is Veer and owner value is also Veer to any EBS volume, then I can do only for that particular EBS volumes which has that particular tag. Other than that, I can't do anything. So this thing also can be automated in audit it, not automate it, because here it's like a policy. You can create this kind of policy and attach to your resources again using tags. You can create any amount of policies of your IAM and tag it with particular tag values or tag logic, and then the same resources you can tag with the same value, and it will be fine. This is one of the a new feature which has come, I guess a lot of people may be aware of. So when you go to the AWS console, you see at a time only EC2 or at a time only RDS or something. But there's something called resource grouping, which is also again depending upon the tags. If you have proper tagging, then you can create awesome grouping. So you say my cost center is XYZ. I wanted to see all the resources in AWS which are tagged to that particular cost center. Show me in one screen. This is the way. Here it will show you EC2, your EMR, whichever resource can be tagged in AWS, all that resources you will be able to see in this one screen. So this is one of the feature. I'm not sure how many people are using it, but this is one of the feature which AWS has given recently, and it's awesome feature. They released this feature, I guess, almost 6 months back, and that time they have also introduced resource editor, tag editor. There it's a combination of the tag editor and this. Suppose initial days nobody was completely familiar about the tagging, and or generally people don't use tagging strategy at all. They just go with the name tag, and that also XYZ, some randomly name they give. But the way the revolution has come and the strategy has put and automation is coming into picture, AWS also thought through, okay, fine, I have a customer who has thousands of resources, how he will be able to manage the tags. So that's why the tag editor, that one feature has introduced by AWS, where you can select multiple resources at the same time and add a new tag or remove an old tag at a time. So that way you're going to create your tagging strategy again. But as a best practice thumb rule, what we recommend as part of Minjar, the way we have worked till now and experienced the glitches of tagging, follow the standard best practices, create your standard strategy of tagging naming convention, tagging strategy, and whenever you are provisioning any resource, tag it. In Botmetric, we have also created a job which will do auto tagging on the base of your recommended tags. We tag your resources. By the way, Botmetric is free for 15 days, so you can evaluate. It will give you full freedom for you. And we don't keep any access key and secret key. It's a role-based method. It's completely secured. We have enabled MFA also. So don't worry on that side also. You can evaluate. So any questions?
All right, Veer. Thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights, and I hope this session was really helpful and it would really make our audience to understand the AWS tagging best practices. And on that note, we are now open for the Q&A session. So let's take the questions, Veer.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'll move ahead with the first question. How do we do bulk tag change for the existing resources which are already tagged? Example, you have cost center code which has changed from A to B.
Good question. And just my last part, which I was explaining about the tag editor. So there is a tag editor. There you go, select the way you talk about your resources, all the resources you selected, and change the value. It will change for all the resources in one go. And there you can do that filter with your previous cost center value. and then you change it, it will automatically change for all the stuff, all the resources.
All right. Okay, so we can quickly take up the next question, Veer.
Yeah.
How do we manage the number in autoscaling group, and what will happen when we scale up or down?
Let me rephrase your question. So you are asking me, Kiran, in auto scaling group, how we will manage the number of servers, or how we will manage the new server, which are the number which we are asking to provision.
Let's take both the cases, Veer.
Okay, fine. So let me. Hello everyone. So the question is, how we will manage the auto scaling number. So yes, there is one condition there. The way you have set up your auto scaling and it has max value something. In auto scaling, there are three main parameters. One is desired, another is minimum, and third one is max. What our tool or any of you who wanted to write your own script can do is you can change your desired and min value if you're not changing the max value, because you know that the max value you have given already a high value. But if you have not given a max as high value, you can define that part also in your automated script. First, you can say that, okay, fine, my min value is right now 2, desired value is also 2. So that means right now in auto scaling, you are running 2 servers. But you know, in the evening, your traffic comes and you need 4 more servers. That means your total servers are 6. So your max value of the auto scaling has to be 6. Otherwise, it can't provision 6 servers, 4 servers new basically. So generally, we give a best practice that always keep your max value from your current number, whatever your high peak hour number of the server, double of that. As you said, as I said, like in the evening I get traffic and I need to provision, total number of servers should be 6. So keep your max value at least 12 so that you will never hit your max value. So to answer your first question, Shilpi,
Yes.
increment and decrement will work easily if you are not reaching to the max value, and it will automatically provision the server, decrease the server. The logic is in your hand. You are defining the time and saying that this time I need number of servers should be in my load balancer or in auto scaling group this much. So it will automatically provision it. But only point is if you are not hitting the max value. But if you are hitting the max value and you know that I'm hitting the max value, that also you can automate. You can say, okay, at this time, please increase my max value to 20 and then provision 10 more servers. Like that, you can automate the complete part.
All right, that was insightful. So Veer, we can quickly take another question.
Yes, sure.
So there's another question coming from Tara. What is the difference between me writing a script to do all the explained automation than using Botmetric?
Uh, Difference. Okay, it's very straightforward difference. I wanted, Tara, you to focus on your business. Why you wanted to spend or reinventing the wheel which is already available? So that is the main difference. See, Botmetric, I am giving you a completely your friend. It's a virtual engineer for you who can do all the tasks which you wanted to do, but you don't have to spend time on it. What you need to do is you just go see the GUI of Botmetric. It is very easy to set up and everything, and it will add value to your business because you are saving your time on doing the same job. Instead, what you are going to do, that save time, you are going to implement your and give your time to your product, which will be helpful. So that's a major difference where you're saving a lot of time and you're going to give that time to your product.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll also like to throw some insights on this as well. You have cloud automation in Botmetric, where you can automate all of your daily repetitive tasks, take the DR backup, and the best part is you can manage and create and monitor whatever jobs you're creating there. So I think that saves a lot of time. So I would recommend all our attendees today to take up a 14-day free trial of Botmetric and see how it is adding value. You have cost analytics, you have insights, you have over 78 audits, cloud audits to run, and a lot more there. So I would really recommend you guys to go ahead, take a 14-day free trial and see how it's adding value. So on that note, Veer, I think we can just wait for another few minutes if we can take another question.
Sure, Shilpi.
And yes, Anurag and Deepak, we will be sharing the slides with you. You can share your corporate email ID with us and drop us a text or drop us a message to marketing@minjar.com. Or if you have any questions that you want to ask or you want to connect with Veer, you can drop in your questions to veer@botmetric.com. And if you guys want more updates on AWS and want to know more about the product updates, anything about Botmetric, please keep in touch with us over social media. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, so it will be fun connecting with the industry experts there. Any more questions, guys? All right, Veer, I think we are good for now. So quickly, if you have to summarize the session and give us 5 best AWS tagging practices that every one of us should know, what would it be?
Simple thing, I will say first, have one standard tagging strategy with your proper tagging structure in place. Second, the name definition, the name resource should be very clear and defined way. Either you can use the experience which we have gained over the period of time, the best practice which we have shared right now, you can use the same, or you can define your own name pattern, but it has to be a predefined name pattern. Next point is, every company needs automation. So definitely do plan your tagging strategy and keep some of the tags used only for the automation. And again, the company also need reports, lots of reports, not only reports, lots of reports, and that reports can be a cost report, compliance report, access report, lot of reports will be there. So keep some tags for that purpose. So these all combination will be helpful to manage your complete AWS infrastructure in a best manner. And I would also recommend here, if you don't want to spend a lot of time on your tagging strategy, your tagging the resources, use Botmetric. Botmetric has a feature which will give you freedom of setting up a standard tagging best practice. What it does, it will fetch your all the AWS resource tagging, and you just define your standards in Botmetric. It will map to your resources and it will say, hey, this resource is not matching with your standard defined in Botmetric. So that is one of the best practice which you can use of Botmetric. So tag everything which you can in AWS, automate every stuff so that you focus on your business requirement. You don't have to worry about your operations. And yes, tag strategy for getting more insight reports. Thanks, Shilpi.
Thank you, Veer. Thank you so much for your time. And on that note, we are done for this webinar today. Thank you all for attending the session. We really appreciate your presence. So you can get in touch with us if you have any queries or you need any help with regards to AWS. You can connect directly with veer@botmetric.com, or you can drop in your questions or any queries to marketing@minjar.com. So thank you guys. Thanks Veer. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.